And we're going to go through and prune an entire 3-year-old peach tree and show you every step that I think, and every step, so that you get a really step-by-step authentic view of how to go through and do this without too much editing. So hopefully it doesn't get too boring. I'll try to say what's most important. So in our other videos, we've already gone over some of the tools that you can use and some of the different strategies on when to prune and some of those things. But for this video, we're just going to go straight after pruning the 3-year-old tree. And so we have 2 of them right here. We have one right there and one right here. And I'm going to go for the small. I'm going to prune that smaller one. And I'm going to tell you why. This tree is about twice as big. Now it's the same age, but for whatever reason, that one, the roots have taken stronger. Maybe they found some fertilizer under there. Maybe they got more water. You never know always what the reason, but that one has really taken off. It's really big. So in order to make the video just a little shorter, we'll go after something like this, a little bit smaller, and see if we can clip it up. The other thing is about the 3-year-old tree. So one of the things about the 3-year-old tree is that it's a lot different than a 1-year-old pruning that you get from the nursery. And it's a lot different than, say, this tree right over here, which is like an 8-year-old tree, which has already all been structured and pruned up, like we talked about in other videos about the structure, and you can visit those. So it's a lot different. So we're at a very critical stage with a 3-year-old tree because we're setting up the structure, we're setting up the strategy, we're thinking about how much space it's going to need to grow, which way it's going to grow. Do we got something in the way that we need to try to form the tree, where maybe there's a corner of a house in the way, or a telephone pole, or whatever. So we need to be thinking about strategy and structure a lot on this size of tree, because we are planning out this tree's whole future at this point. Up until this point, when it was younger, from 1 year, 2 year, 3-year-old, we were just trying to get the growth of the tree growing so that we had a lot of branches, a lot of health, the roots are established, and now we can decide how to start shaping this. So you might consider this like a teenager in school, where, hey, you spent all the elementary school on it, but now it's time to pick a career. So that's what we're going to do here. So let's talk a little bit about this tree now that we're thinking about the strategy. If you look at this tree from the nursery, it got pruned right there. They headed the tree off, and they probably didn't do a very good job. And for whatever reason, maybe some of the other branches that were out here didn't do too well, and this branch took and decided to go with that branch because it was really strong. And maybe the other branches died off, or they were really wimpy and weak. But now you can see from last year, we built a structure in here, and we had a branch go off that way and some go off this way. But we're at a point now where we can take that structure and prune it up here. So I'm looking at this branch and this branch and this branch going up that way, and this branch, and these are called your scaffolding branches. And these 4 branches are the ones we're going to use to build out the big satellite dish, because that's the strategy we're going for. And of course, as we've said in other videos, there's lots of different strategies, but here we are on the farm, and we have a lot of sunlight, and we have a lot of open space for this tree to spread out. So we're going to go for the standard commercial satellite dish look, the upside down umbrella. So the best form for that then is the 4 scaffolding branches, and from there we'll build that big umbrella to come out, just like that tree we just showed you a minute ago. So we'll go to it now. So knowing that these are our 4 main branches, we want to keep those, and we also want to build the secondary scaffolding now that we have branches like this and like these and pick those and start building them. And this tree is also old enough where we're saying, hey, we might decide we want to get a few peaches off it. So we might want to keep that in mind too as we're pruning, so we don't cut away so much that we're totally structural, where we still have some production ability too on the buds. So let's start here with the easy stuff. We'll go down here and we'll cut out this one. And the reason we're going to cut out this one is it's right in between the crotch here. And as this branch gets big like these ones, it'll start pushing on the other branches here and trying to make space for itself. So we don't need that there. Let's stay with these ones. We don't need this one either. It's filling up the center of the tree. It'll shade in the center. And remember, the open center system that we're going after, that satellite dish, we're trying to get good airflow to keep disease down and rot down. We're trying to get good sunlight in here to get all those peaches really well, make them taste good. And that's what that sunlight's going to do. It's ripen them up nice. Okay, so we'll take out that easy stuff that's easy to get. Now we're going to go here and take the stuff that's pointed straight up. Anything that's pointed straight up to a certain point. All right, now just show you this real quick. I'm going to walk over here. Sometimes if you're doing it in your yard, and that's kind of what we're focusing on with this series of videos, is the homeowners who have 1 or 2 trees in their yard. Obviously, if you're a commercial grower, and we have big orchards too, we don't have a dumpster on hand for every tree we do, but we are doing just a few trees, so it's handy to have a dumpster right next to you. So back to the tree. Another thing we want to do is on the front here, as all the branches grow up here and develop into their stuff, branches like this don't do us very good for the future, and they get shaded out and they lose the tree stops sending them the sap, and it stops sending it the energy. So we want to get rid of those ones too. And the other thing is they start drooping, and then the peaches grow on them. And then later what happens to branches that hang straight off is, as that peach grows on there, it has a good leverage to rip the branch, and it rips the skin of the tree right down like that, and it damages the tree. Okay, so I'll try to keep talking as I'm doing this here to show you what I'm doing. I'm just nubbing off anything that's going to take energy away from the stuff that we want to keep. And we got a lot of little growth along here, and some of those you can just wipe off with your hand. Makes it easy, or you can do it with your pruner. Now this one right here is standing pretty straight up, so I'm going to take that off. So I took out a lot of the easy ones, but now I want to look at the top right here. Okay, so here we are on this branch. Now we're going to decide on the top of the branch what we're going to keep. Now I think this joint right here is about 18 inches up to here. So that's a good spacing to have your Ys come out, your Y joints. So I'm going to keep this one, and I've decided that now. The other one I'm going to keep. This one you could keep down here for now if you wanted to, but it is a little bit close to that joint. As these trunks get big and bigger in the years, that area might get a little bit squished where it's fighting against each other, not having a good. That's a little bit close. So that's why you want that 18 inches, because it gives the right amount of space for things to breathe and to have good circulation in the tree. So this is definitely a keeper right here. And this one is really close to this joint right here. And sometimes when you're deciding on the Y, it's nice to have the joints offset just a little bit, not where they're together like that, because that makes a weak point where it wants to split sometimes, because those peaches get heavy on there and they pull on those branches. That's a really good place for a heavy tree loaded with peaches on a windy day, and the wind comes and it's ranking on it and it splits the tree. So I'm not loving that one so much, but it isn't that bad. It's not right off there. So I might keep that one, but I almost like this one up here, just about 6 inches up. So I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to cut that one. I'm going to cut that one right there. I'm going to take that one away and take that one away. And now it's a little bit thin in there, but I have my direction where I want the structure to go. And next, let me throw these away. What I want to do, now that I have the structural, I say, well, what about peach production and leaf production? Because we need some leaf. We have to think about that too. We want the tree to have enough solar panel ability, those are what the leaves do, to have the energy to make a lot of good growth again. We don't want to cut it too small. So what we might do then with this branch down here is we say, well, look, we know that we might not want this branch long term, but in the short term, over the next year or two, it might give us some good peaches, so we're going to head it off right there. And you see the buds on here, it's going to give you peach, it's going to give you leaf, and it has a nice spread from the others for now. And so that's a good one to keep just temporarily. And this one over here is like that too. This one might be a good one for temporary. And I'll head it off right there and we'll just take whatever that gives us. But on the same errand, if you said to yourself, well, I'm not so worried about that, I want to get that structure focusing 100% energy on what I want, take that one off. I didn't like that one anyway. And there's always a little bit of that, right? So now here we have 2 horns coming up, and that's a good thing. We like that 45-degree up. We don't like branches hanging down, and we don't like them going straight up crazy. We like that 45. That's what that satellite open system is all about. But we're going to head them off right here, just so they stop growing longer and they start concentrating on their leaves and their peach load right there. Okay, let's come over to this one that we kept. We're going to cut that back off the spine and cut the one that's hanging low. So we'll take out the easy ones there first. I know it looks like a cactus. It's got all sorts of stuff coming out here. And we're going to take the one right off the top there, like that. Now we have a horn up here with 2 coming out the side like that. That's a common thing that a tree likes to do. Except it's a really bad thing for the long term. Because what ends up happening is you have 3 branches growing out of the same joint. And that's a split waiting to happen in the future. So we're going to cut that whole thing right out of there. Bam, gone. But we're going to cut this one off, and we're going to leave this one and this one. I know this one is headed out straight right now, but I can see how it's going. It'll work its way up. And we're just going to head it off there a little bit. And then just for some extra leaf and peach, we'll keep this one here too for now. Okay, so there's that one. So we just did, what, 25% of the tree over here. Okay, let's come over to this one. And we'll do the same process on it. And we'll cut off this one off the back. And we got these ones here. So I don't like that one that's straight up. I'm going to go with this little clump right here and let those horns work their way out. And I got peach and leaf along here too because it's a newer growth. Let's see, and I got some down along here, a whole bunch, but I think it's a little overkill, and the peach trees have a bad habit of that, as we know, of overkill. So we're gonna, I mean, if you look at this 3-year-old peach tree, just to talk about overkill for a minute, if you counted all the buds and all the possible peaches that it's trying to put on, there's probably about 5,000 peaches on this little tree. So clearly that's not realistic, so we gotta help it. So there's different ways to help that. Number one is to prune it, but the other thing that we'll come to later is we'll even thin it again so that we lessen the crop so the crop can turn out better. Anyway, okay, let's finish here now. I think I know this one's facing backward right now, but I don't have a good second horn coming out this way, and I don't want to reduce the leaf too much on it. So I'm going to cut that one off, and I'm going to cut this one right here. I'm going to leave a little bit of leaf right there for that. So like I said, I don't want to hewn it down so much that we don't have enough leaves, and it's got to have enough to do what it's got to do. And of course, next year there's going to be a whole batch of new growth, and we can refine it from there. Each year we refine the structure and which way it's headed. But we have to be careful to leave enough and make those choices so that we don't overcorrect the situation. All right, so we just took out the easy ones. Here's one up top that's going away. All right, here's a nice one coming out this way. If you look at this one, we have a nice coming out that angle, a nice Y coming out that angle. I'm gonna head that one off. That was easy. This one's kind of a debacle right here. So we will trim that. I'm gonna take it right there actually. Head those off. Take that. Okay. And we still have a few things hanging down here. We got this little duker, and we got some of these long here. We got probably too many of those, so I'll just take a few of those off. This guy's okay temporarily. In the future, he'll probably run into this branch, and he probably will go away. He'll dwindle. The tree will stop feeding him. I can see that's happening already, but at least for one more year, he'll be okay there to give us what we need. Okay, that branch is done. So we're about 50% done this tree. Maybe. All right, let's do this next big section here. We'll try to do the easy ones. Here I go down here. Let's get rid of this stuff. And let's get rid of this thing. See how wimpy this one looks? In fact, it almost looks dead. And if you look over here, it's got sap. It had some sort of problem. Maybe it got damaged. Anyway, we're going to get rid of that. We don't want disease, and we don't want trouble like that happening. So we're just cleaning it up a little bit with the easy ones. And so now let's just look at the structure before I go any further. We got this thing coming up this way, and we got that one headed up that way. And we also have this one down here. Now I would think in the future, as this tree comes big like this thing down here would probably end up not doing much for us. It'll just die back. But temporarily we may decide to keep this one. So I'll cut it there, and there, and there, and there, and there. We'll just get rid of a few of those. Okay, now let's work on these top ones. We'll get those easy ones that are headed straight up, and anything that's headed straight down. And you know, whenever you do that on these branches, it almost starts looking like a feather because you've taken everything straight up and straight down, and all that you're left with is the branches that are coming out the sides. It almost looks like a feather. All right. So let's trim that one up. And as I'm trimming these and heading them off, I usually make them, I try to make them bare minimum 12 inches, but more like 16 inches, sometimes 18 inches. That's about where we're hoping to get it, but it doesn't always happen that way. Because every tree is custom. Every tree is unique. Every tree is different. And you got to be able to look at every situation and be able to make a decision on it. And that's part of the thing that makes your tree happy, is when you give it the attention it needs. Okay, I'm going to keep this little guy in here for now, just for some leaf. I'm going to head that one off, and I'm going to keep him, I think. I think that would be okay for this year. But I may change my mind. I don't know. Okay, here we go. I'm going to cut that one out. I'm not liking that one. And I'm going to cut this one out. I want this one to take the juice and this one to take it. This one's okay for this year. Okay, there's that. And we did this one down here. We got one more here. Okay, we got this going on up here. I'm going to head that one right there. I don't mind these ones growing out that way. Okay, I'm going to head that one right there. I'm going to take that off back there. Right there, like that, cleaned up. And I'm just going to head that one off because I want that one for peach and leaf. So there's that one. So that was the third scaffolding we just completed. So we got one more to do. All right, last one. It looks like a big mess, doesn't it? And let's go to it then. And Rachel, my wife here, who's video cameraing, doing an excellent job. So we will get all the easy stuff first. Kind of like those multiple choice questions at school. Knock out the easy answers first, then you can decide on the hard choices. All the stuff that's directly hanging down, all the stuff that's jutting directly up. At least that's a good rule of basis. Once in a while, you may have to decide you want to keep something that is jutting straight up, or you may want to keep something temporarily that's going straight down. But those are decisions you have to make. But generally, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the tree to grow stuff in the right way, and we're helping to train it to do that by doing this. All right, here's this one. We just have one headed up that way. Oh, come on. And just to let you know again, I sharpened our pruners here with that file like I showed you before we started, and I made sure this was the right tightness and all that stuff, and the pruners are working really good. We're cutting stuff real smooth, and it makes it easy. All right, so we got this one here, and we got that one there, and I think I might leave this little dude right here for this year, and I'll take that one away. All right, there's that one, and we know we want to keep this big guy coming up here, so I'm going to take this one off. Now, this might be interesting to you because you say, whoa, this is a really healthy branch, and it's going up here. Are you sure you want to settle with these ones down here? I'm saying, I think so. That one's not the direction I want it. And I'm going to take that one off. And I'm going to keep that one. And let me think about this one for a minute. I think we'll take that off right there. Okay. All right, let's take off that little thing. So now you saw between this one, that was nice that I left. Like I said, it's nice to have a nice spacing for good circulation between the branches. So I kept that one and I kept that one, like the feather running out. But the one in the middle made stuff too close, so I took that one away so we have a good spacing. Okay, so that's not too bad. I'll take that off and that off. All right, how's that look? It's starting to look like a nice thing there. Now we got these two branches down here on this scaffolding. Now we can choose to try to work with them and keep something if we want, or I think they're at the point where we can just get rid of them too. So for me, because I have a lot of trees to take care of and I'm not so worried about the peach production, I probably would just choose to get rid of them and let my structure spend all this energy doing that. But somebody who's a homeowner who says, hey, I would love to get a few extra peaches this year, they might trim it right here and right here and let these little guys put out a peach, and maybe just head that one off, and they might do that just so they have a few extra peaches. But me, I don't do that. So same with this side. They might decide to do that, but gone for me. Okay, well that completes our 3-year-old tree. So if you zoom back here, we'll take a look at it overall. And I think there's still quite a bit left on there where it has a lot to work with, but it's also all geared into the right direction now. And so I think that will complete our video on the 3-year-old tree pruning. And please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them for you. And we'd love it if you subscribe too. So thank you from Richard here, and we will see you on the next video.